Over the years, numerous films from the 80s have been revived for the big screen. While Gremlins made its television debut in 2023 and has since released a second season, I wanted to discuss the future of the Gremlins franchise and delve into the extremely troubled history of Gremlins 3. With the original Gremlins such a success, you would assume future sequels would be an instant sell, and it could have been, but Joe Dante was not interested in making another Gremlins movie so shortly after the first. While compared to now, 6 years seems like nothing for a sequel, back then franchises would release a movie every 1 to 2 years. By 1989, the Gremlins franchise had lost most of its steam, but Joe Dante finally wanted to make Gremlins 2, this time with full creative control. Instead of the grounded horror comedy, we were presented a wacky, cartoon like movie with meta humor and fourth wall breaks. Gremlins 2 released on June 15, 1990, and received mixed reviews and was deemed a box office failure. It would take 9 years for the first documented rumors of Gremlins 3 to emerge, and in 1999, Ain't It Cool News reported that DreamWorks Studios were working on a Gremlins 3. DreamWorks had previously released Joe Dante's Small Soldiers in 1989 and would be only 2 years away from releasing the massive hit Shrek. Another report from the previous source revealed that during an interview with CNN about Austin Powers 2, actor Rob Lowe mentioned that he was set to star in Gremlins 3, once again with Joe Dante directing. However, Joe Dante later clarified that he was never aware of this and had never even met Rob Lowe. The following year, Ain't It Cool News once again reported Gremlins 3 was in the works, this time helmed by Brian Lynch. Lynch would later write back to clarify that the rumor was false and he was never involved in the Gremlins movie. In February 2007, MovieHole.net reported that ideas for a CGI direct-to-video Gremlins 3 were being discussed at Warner Brothers. Mike Fennell, who had helped produce both original films, later confirmed that these talks were indeed underway, but it appeared that he was not particularly interested in making the film. The talks for a future Gremlins 3 would once again resurface online around 2010 when rumors of a 3D Gremlins movie were posted by Market Saw, a 3D media news site. Joe Dante once again confirmed that he had no involvement. He believed after the failure of Gremlins 2 he would never be asked again to work on the series. Around the same time, Gremlins 2 was released on Blu-ray, and 20 years after its release, Gremlins 2, The New Batch, finally began to be regarded as a cult classic movie far ahead of its time. Warner Brothers would take note of the resurgence in popularity, and on January 16, 2013, Vulture broke the news that Gremlins was getting a reboot. A few months later, on May 13th, Bloody Disgusting reported that Seth Smith and David Katzenberg had been brought on as producers. Plans for a true Gremlins 3 were scrapped, but surprisingly, a new take on the Gremlins was in the works, when Deadline reported that Carl Ellsworth would now be penning the remake. Nothing else would ever come out, and the project was secretly shelved. However, the plans for another Gremlins movie weren't fully scrapped. In 2016, Chris Columbus, who wrote the original movie, stated that he was actively working on a script for a third Gremlins film, and this script would be finished in 2017. What's known is that this script would go back into the horror genre with a more dark and twisted tone. After years of rumors and speculation, the next installment in the Gremlins franchise would be revealed by Variety on February 25, 2019. A Gremlins animated prequel was coming to HBO Max, and on July 1st, Warner Bros. Would confirm the rumor, titling the series Gremlins: Secrets of the Mogwai. The rumored release date of 2020 promised exciting news, but unfortunately, it didn't come as quickly as expected. Making things worse, the world was plunged into lockdown due to a global pandemic, only further delaying the release of the show. Other than some concept art at the end of 2020, no further information was released, leading many to fear for the worst. However, in December of 2021, we were unexpectedly treated with about 3 seconds of footage accompanied by a new rumored release date of 2022. When the summer of 2022 hit, the cast for the series was finally announced, introducing new actors and reinventing existing roles for original actors in the franchise. After another period of silence, a teaser trailer was released on April 12th, announcing the release date to finally be May 23rd. And as promised, with the launch of the newly rebranded Max app, Gremlins: Secret of the Mogwai officially released, making the first new addition to the franchise in over 33 years. Before the first season even premiered, Warner Brothers had already greenlit a second season, indicating that we wouldn't have to wait long for more. On October 3rd, 2024, we received the first batch of episodes for the new season, now titled Gremlins: The Wild Batch. This season would be divided into two parts, and the second wave of episodes would be released on April 10th, 2025. With no third season greenlit at this time, the question becomes what is next for the franchise. Joe Dante has stated he'd love to do a Gremlins 3 if they allow him. Chris Columbus still has a script written and ready. The main star Zach Galligan has been pushing for a sequel for years, and we could even see the return of Phoebe Cates, as she did return from retirement to voice herself in the LEGO video game LEGO Dimensions.
He's all hyperactive and really hungry. He's eaten almost all the food I have.
In January of 2025, Deadline reported that a third Gremlins movie could be in the works. Later that year, in April, a co-chairman of Warner Brothers confirmed that they are collaborating with Amblin on a new Gremlins movie written by Chris Columbus. Since the script for Gremlins 3 has already been written, we could potentially see the movie sooner than we ever anticipated. However, it remains to be seen whether this is another entry in the franchise, or if it will simply be another fruitless rumor that plagues the Gremlins universe. If you enjoy the discussion of Gremlins media and want the latest news in the franchise, please hit that subscribe button, as it would help a ton. Thank you all for your continued support, and as always, thanks for watching.